Welcome, welcome, welcome. November 19th, 2020. It's Thursday, about 8:09 p.m. This is Dan Kinlan, and I am unfortunately again joined by the echo of my own voice. Couple of things ran into me being solo tonight by no one's fault, mainly probably my own. Be honest, wasn't even really sure I was going to get this one in, guys, but we are here. Got a couple of different plans for the night for this podcast. Mainly going to be, kind of looking at a lot of the playoff potential here. The standings, as we all know, are extremely tight. But before we even go there, we're about 10 minutes away from this Seahawks-Cardinals Thursday night game. Should be pretty awesome. Current spread that I see is Seattle -3. Looks like the over-under at 57 points, which should make for quite a fun game. If you're going money line, I see -160 for Seattle, Arizona +140. I think the best one I like here is actually that Arizona line is not terrible, but the spread I think I like a little bit better. Time will tell, but I despise, as we probably all do, the defense and mainly that secondary for the Seahawks. So that's my 2 minutes, well, less than 2 minutes, NFL talk on this fantasy football podcast. And guys, jumping right into a little Survivor talk. And, a lot of guys probably look at the Survivor run here that a lot of the league mates have had, but we still have 4 out of 4 advance again. 2 of you guys took New Orleans last week. 2 of you guys took Green Bay. And for those playing at home, that's Justin, Tom, Marvin, and Drew. Now, my pick for the win last week was Marvin. Just I kind of felt bad. I was picking against him a lot, mainly picking correctly. And I felt the need to kind of dive into a little bit more as to what this Survivor looks like for the next couple of weeks. It looks like Casey, Pitt, San Fran have been some picks out there that could be some popular stuff here that all y'all have already taken. Interestingly enough, and again, I didn't check yet tonight. I will as I'm talking here, but only Drew has actually taken Seattle. So for the rest of you guys, it is a possibility for you to take them. As it's the Thursday night game, it doesn't actually show you who everybody took. So we'll kind of get to that. In about 8 or 9 minutes, I'll give you a little update on that. But for the other Survivor stuff, is that Justin's the only one without Green Bay, which is interesting, and tried to take a little bit harder look at who you're going to try to pick off here for the terrible teams. A lot of New England is still out there for you guys. But Tom and Drew are 2 of the 4 that have Miami. So that could be a popular pick as they, probably make a playoff run here. Again, New England hasn't been too solid, and obviously the Jets are in that division. What's also interesting is that Tampa Bay is only available for Drew. And I don't think that I would ever say that 11 weeks in. So interesting to kind of see some of those selections. But I guess I'd give a little bit of the edge to Drew here, which means probably I gave you the kiss of death, Drew. So apologies, but he's my pick to make it out of the 4 of you guys. So there's your Survivor. We usually do 2 minutes, and I've done 3 minutes. So there you go. Like I said, I wanted to do more about the standings and some of the potential odds to make the playoffs. And obviously we have 6 spots, and we have one 8-2 team, which is Justin, 2 7-3 teams, which is Tom and Big Cat at 7-3. So I'm giving the 3 of them a playoff pass here. I think you 3 guys have made it. Obviously, Big Cat is the most the most in danger of not making it, given the fact that he has not yet hit 1,000 points yet. That's not a knock against you. It's just math. So don't get too mad about that. Numbers don't lie unless you think you're Donald Trump. But to look at the other teams here, I think that out of the other teams that I think are vying for spots, I think there's 6 teams. I think there are 6 teams vying for 3 spots. And yes, if you're 4-6, I know you can get in, but this week you just don't count for this section. So what I'm saying is do better. Apologies to the best team name, for Drew, which is Danny K Dream Team. Appreciate that. All real Mosterts for Blaze. I also had 4 and 6. Maurice and Fleece might have more of an argument than the other 2 of you at 4 and 6, considering he has 1,053 points, which is pretty intense. So that's the outside horse, but I just don't see really that happening. I'll kind of explain why as I move through some of the analysis here, but the 6 teams that I'm talking about are T-Mac's team at 6 and 4, Barry's team at 5 and 5, Marvin's team at 5 and 5, and I'm going here from 4 through 9. My team as well at 5 and 5, sitting in 7th. We got Mace changing the team name to 3 Browns in a Pod at 5 and 5. Jed finishes at 9 at 5 and 5, and again, those are point totals, and we'll get into a little bit of that. Obviously, Barry holding a quite a substantial lead, but with what we have as 5 and 5 teams, 1 6 and 4 team. I think if you get to 7 wins, you get in. Obviously, it's going to be what I think, based on what I've done my projections on. You're going to need some points, and so that's why we'll get into why points will come into play so solidly. And so, strap in, put your seatbelts on, because this could get a little nerdy, but I hope that, it does make sense after I'm done with it. So we'll start with T-Mac. T-Mac, he looks solid. I'll start with him only because he's at 6 and 4, and then I'll kind of play into who I think is going to make it here. And we'll go from easiest schedule to hardest schedule. But at 6 and 4, obviously, he's got a leg up because he's got a win up. And, the teams that he plays, out of the 6 teams, I felt that he has the 4th hardest strength of schedule. And that's how I've based it, guys. So as I run through this, it's just based on what I believe to be strength of schedule in who you play. Now, there are 3 games left. So a lot of us, and I'm going to use that term a couple of times here, do play others that are in this group of 6. And so if you're not in this group of 6, you're going to be super, super bored with this podcast. But I'm the one with the mic. And so I'm the one with the agenda. So I'm going to start with T-Mac. You look the most solid, but I put you at the 4th strength of schedule, 4th hardest here. But I'll start and I'll circle back to T-Mac, but I wanted to give him at least a little bit of props there with the 6 wins. It appears to me that Jed has the easiest route to get to the playoffs, and that's curious to say because he's currently sitting in this group of 6 at 6th place with the least amount of points. But his 3 remaining scheduled games are against Blaze, against Marvin, and against Steve, which, again, those teams, for those who don't have the schedule in front of them, Blaze is Real Mosterts at 4 and 6, Marvin at 5 and 5. We'll get to you in a second, brother. And Jake from State Farm. It's Steve sitting at 2 and 8 and looking like the high probability of the Sacco. Put this here because, especially, he's playing Steve the last week. I can't imagine, unless he gets some guys back. He's playing 2 guys that are at the bottom with Marvin in the middle. So he's not playing any of the top teams. Now, yes, you can always say, well, he's already played them. So, whatever. But sometimes it's harder to play some of the top teams in the beginning. So I see Jed with the easiest route to make it to the playoffs. And, the easy way to do this is to look at records. But the records are so close that you kind of have to break it down a little bit towards, points scored, strength of schedule, as well as, some of the players on the team. As I said, Marvin, I was going to get to you. I think you have the second easiest route to get to the playoffs. your remaining games. And guys, the way that I say this is the first team is the team that he's currently playing this week. Moving towards the last team that I will name is the team that they played the last week. So Marvin's 3 games are against Drew, against Jed, and against Blaze. Again, as you can tell with Marvin and Jed, a very similar schedule. They're playing each other next week, which should be a hell of a matchup. They both play Blaze, which kind of evens it out. But they're also playing 2 of the, what I consider to be the bottom teams with Steve's team and Drew's team. So a somewhat similar schedule, and that's why, as we'll kind of progress here, and you'll see why, I see Marvin and Jed having the easiest routes to the playoffs. And again, you can't pick this, but it is what it is. This is how it happens. So the next team that I saw having the third easiest route to the playoffs is Mason, and this week he's matching up with a look, we give him a lot of shit, but here's the thing: is that Tom's team is 7-3, and there's only 2 teams that are 7-3, and so he'll play Tom this week. And so obviously, Tom's there for a reason. He's put up solid points when he's won. I know I went in hard on him last week, and I think deservedly so regarding the points. But some people may see him as the potential weakest playoff team, but he's better than the bottom teams. I mean, let's be frank. There are 4 or maybe even 5 teams at the bottom that there's no way that I'm picking against Tom. So Tom's team is not bad. It's just not as good as all of us think it is at 7-3. So he plays Tom this week, then goes to play Maurice in a fleece, which I consider to be the best 4-6 team, and then finishes with Drew. So I consider that the third easiest, or I guess the kind of the middle of the pack, so to speak. But I do see that as one of the third easiest schedule there. So again, points will come into play, but Mace, that's what I'm seeing there from you. One top tier, quote unquote, top tier team, and 2 of the guys that are going to be in consolation bracket. T-Mac, I started with you, but I'm gonna put you at the 4th easiest, or I guess I don't know, closest to the hardest. We'll get there in a moment. But your schedule is considerably harder than the first 3 teams that I mentioned. Your 3 games are Justin this week, Barry afterwards, and then LJ. Again, the top team in the league, which we all know is a very good team at 8-2, so that's not going to be easy this week. This is why I included you, because I do think the schedule is tough in terms of the fact that you're 6-4, but you're in the same boat of the 5-5s. You've just for some reason caught a wave and are a little bit ahead. Barry's team is solid. I beat him by, I think, less than a point last week. So he could be sitting pretty at 6-4, and we're having different conversations. But that's just not the way that the pendulum swung. LJ's team, still good. Stephon Diggs is still going to be on that team, a team that can still score points. And so, again, not the best 3-7 that I've ever seen. Not the worst, though. Not the worst 3-7. And LJ's going to bring it. He's not a guy that's going to shut it down. He's not a guy that's just going to stop watching the games. So if he finds something, and especially finds something that he wants to fight for, as in, maybe not getting the Sacco, it's going to happen. So T-Mac, I think, is the 4th easiest to get into the playoffs. That leaves the next 2 teams, my team and Barry's team. I kind of put these at equal in terms of us, getting into the playoffs, but I'll explain why I kind of given myself the hardest route in after I finish this analysis. So I'll start with Barry's team. As I was talking about here, some of the remaining stuff for Barry, tough in terms of the teams he's playing regarding 2 top teams. Tom and Maurice in a fleece is coming up for him as he moves along. I know he's got T-Mac this week, and so he's got a tough road, but he'll be fine in terms of what he has because of all those points. I think he's in the 1100s. Myself this week, and I do apologize. I know I said that T-Mac was playing Justin this week. obviously, incorrect. I'm actually going to be the one playing him, which is why I give myself another tough road because I'm playing the two top teams in terms of Tom and Justin moving along. So as you can tell, some of the teams at the back end of this group of six have a bit of a tougher schedule because they're playing teams that are in this group of six, as I've mentioned, and some of the top teams as well. So Barry having a lot of those points gives him a bit of a leg up. But if I'm a betting man and how I've put this analysis together, Jed and Marvin have a great shot. Putting Barry so far behind is only because of the hard teams. But obviously the quote unquote interdivision games between guys that have these records is going to be huge. So that's how I see it. Would love to hear from you guys in terms of what you see for that. But 7 wins get you in. Always has. We've never had a six win team get in. So these teams are mostly 5-5. So you got to go at least 2-1. Some of these teams are probably going to have to go 3-0. Which is why, potentially if Jed doesn't win that next week's game with the points so low for him against Marvin, he may be out. But time will tell. We'll see. Next week is always one of the biggest weeks because it's Thanksgiving week. So we'll see, guys. We'll see. Kind of cruising right through. I'm going to jump right to the matchups. I'm alone on this, so it's going to be clearly, quite a bit shorter. But the first matchup, and I know a lot of you are saying, hey, how come you haven't talked about the trades? It's tough to talk about trades when I can't actually have a sounding board to have somebody else say, no, I think this. Matchups are, from what I see, a tiny bit different. At least I can make fun of some of your teams. So first matchup that I'm going to jump to is Mr. Jones's Freak Shark, Barry, taking on Gronk, Love 2 Girls, 1 Cup, T-Max team. Big matchup. All the matchups are big, guys, especially when it comes down to it. You got a 5-5 team against a 6-4 team. Currently about a 1.5 to 2 point spread. Tonight's going to be telling. We're actually 6 minutes into the game here. But Russell Wilson starts for Barry. Been a stud all year. He's going to have to be again. If he's not, it's been the narrative for this team all year. He's going to potentially lose. And, it's something that I think tonight he should be fine. But the last 2 weeks, he has less than 4 points. Last week he had less than 4 points, for the whole week. 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. It kind of shocked me against the Rams, but so far he's 3 for 3 tonight with 23 yards. And, we're only 3 minutes in. So he might be looking all right, considering last week could be the outlier. Ronald Jones, my goodness, the man had a game last week, 192 yards and a touchdown. And so if that happens again, there's no way that Barry's going to lose again with him getting that many yards. Gets back Mr. Hill this week. Had him on bye last week. Obviously, his team is different with him in the lineup. Hunter Henry's a great play. He's playing the Jets this week. I expect a touchdown. And Corey Davis, hot and cold. Hot and cold. When he's hot, this team wins. So a lot of ifs, a lot of possibilities here. But if you flip to the other side, it's a model of consistency, which is why I am eventually going to be picking T-Mac in this matchup. But Dalvin Cook is the number one running back, and he's the number one running back by about 23 or 24 points based on our Yahoo settings. Gronk's been a stud too. And I do expect some points in that game against the Rams. He's had a touchdown in 4 of his last 5 weeks. So I do expect at least a touchdown from him. I'm not talking about, a lot of yards, but, again, that's a Monday night game. T-Max also got Cooper Kupp, who's been just, pretty solid. Not amazing this year, but solid. And I focus on those two as I will, again, move down his lineup to his defense to focus on that. Because he's got the Rams, which is interesting. A lot of Monday night stuff here. So I expect Barry to be up as he moves through. Barry's got a lot of Sunday night games. But this matchup may be decided on Monday night. So, tell the boss on Tuesday that the The 3-day week, it might only be a 2-day week. Eventually, I'm going to be taking T-Mac here, and I guess my only thing that I'd say to T-Mac is, hey, maybe switch out that defense. Next matchup is Drop Jed Gorgeous. Jed taking on Real Mosterts, which is Blaze's team. And again, there's a reason why I gave Jed the kind of inside track to make the playoffs. 113-82 is currently the point spread. Blaze has been fucked this year. No Christian McCaffrey for a large part of the year. I feel you, man. You've only had him for 3 games. He's scored over 21 points, in each one of those games. Obviously, that's a different team. It just is. But you have no shot in this matchup. A lot of backups here. Malcolm Brown's in for you. I think you even have the running back there from the Falcons. Brian Hill is there. Currently also starting Marvin Hall. I know 11 points with a touchdown last week, but I just don't see it. Tom Brady Monday night, you're going to need 30 to 35 points from him because flip side, Kyler Murray for Jed tonight. Robbie Anderson's a stud. Nick Chubb, let's see him fall into the end zone this time so we can get Jed some points. But really the game changer is the fact that he's playing Mike Davis against you, man, which must hurt. I just don't see much of an avenue for Blaze to take the win here. An injury has to happen to one of Jed's stud guys. Kamara is clearly a stud MVP candidate, quite frankly. Jed takes this going away, moving to 6-5 for him. Next matchup sees a 3-7 CD's Nuts versus Yahtzee at 7-3. LJ taking on Big Cat. Matter of pride here, I think. I imagine these two would potentially talk about a bet, except for the fact that there's a serious bye hitting LJ's team for Stephon Diggs. Currently not really being able to replace him too much. Sterling Shepard is also on bye. Similar to Blaze's team, not having Austin Eckler has fucking killed him. He was destroying in the beginning of the year. Don't look at that October 4th Tampa Bay game of 1.5 points. That's when he got hurt. So prior to that, he was playing amazing. I hopefully expect good things from him. LJ's got to pick up a kicker too because his kicker's on IR. So it's looking like a medical tent over here. I struggle to find the best player. Well, it's Hopkins obviously playing tonight, but yikes! I'm not trying to make fun of you here, LJ, but times have been better. Times have certainly been better, and I know that you've admitted that in the group chat. Looking over to the other side, I'm actually shocked that a couple of these players aren't put out for more points, but I expect a big day from Big Ben. Tyler Lockett, though, at 11.24 points is a little questionable for me. I know he's had a hamstring issue. He'll play. I just wonder how effective he'll be. So there's a possibility for LJ to maybe get one there. Brandon Cook should be okay. He's playing against New England, which hasn't been the stellar defense, but New England's been running it a lot, so they're going to try to probably slow everything down. Maybe make that one kind of a grind it out kind of thing. But Devontae Adams against Indy. Indy, yes, has a great defense. Don't get me wrong, but I think that there's just enough for Big Cat to squeak it out. And I guess I'm not. We give a lot of shit to Tom's team, but I'm not thrilled by this 7-3 team either. But regardless, I see you moving to 8-3, Big Cat. So congratulations. Next one is Jake from State Farm, 2-8, playing on Maurice and a Fleece. We got Willie and Freddie here, 2-8 versus 4-6. No one's watching this game. No one would put it on unless for some reason they got great odds. And this guy doesn't know of any betting pool that has it. To move somewhat quickly through, I see Maurice and a Fleece taking it. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a guy that I I see as is finally maybe kind of putting it together. He has been solid. He has given you maybe one, maybe two bad weeks. Obviously sharing the carries isn't great, but he's not gotten hurt, and that is a lot to be said. Consistency is something that is sometimes hard to find. You also found Chase Claypool too, so you've been able to enjoy him. Mike Evans, Kareem Hunt is also here. If Mark Andrews ever kind of figures it out a little bit, you've had 3 good games out of the 10. Well, 9 because he had a bye that he's played, so a little bit disappointing, especially where you took him. Maybe you get something tonight from Chase Edmonds because the last 2 weeks he's been pretty solid. A lot of carries, not a lot of actual contribution. But this is a team that, while at 4-6, if you score a shitload of points in the next 3 weeks, it's not out of the realm of possibility for you to jump into that group of 6, making it group of 7. But just, right now, a couple of bad beats earlier on in the year. I am interested to see you put out Jameis Winston here against the Falcons. You'll understand in a minute why I'm going to probably take you. But it's going to be closer than people think, especially because I have more faith in Melvin Gordon than I probably should. Ezekiel Elliott as well. Again, pretty consistent. The problem is with Steve's team is that he's got nothing else. And I'd like to say it's because George Kittle is on IR, but the team wasn't too solid before that. And that's only because of the fact that George Kittle missed week 2 and week 3 too. Came back in week 4 was amazing. And week 6 was amazing too. He's putting up 20, 25 points each week, but nothing else afterwards. Just not enough in the tank here. Logan Thomas, tight end is pretty weak, but against Cincinnati, you got to hope for a touchdown there because of the potential for a shootout with Burrow. Got a shot with Kalen Ballage. You need a lot of little stuff to happen and go your way, and quite frankly, I don't see it happening, especially with the big playability on the other side. Willie, Freddie, I'll give you 5 and 6, and with a shot here, but you're gonna have to win out, and if you don't win this week, you're gone. But I am gonna give this one to you. Next matchup throws us Mace's team, 3 Browns in a pod, at 5 and 5, taking on my Homelander Forprez, currently 7 and 3. Tom is in second place, 4-point favorite. We start with him. Mahomes, you were trying to trade him, weren't you? Interesting. I think maybe you've run out of years to keep him, is my guess. This is your lineup that is in there because you have everyone. You got a couple of COVID, some pups, not the dogs, the ones that are on reserve, as well as keeping a defense. You're keeping Buffalo on a bye. Curious. Don't love their next couple of matchups against what I still believe LAC to be the Clippers. But let's move to this week. Maybe you get lucky with Latavius Murray getting a couple more carries. We'll see. I've always had a soft spot for him. Adam Thielen's he's a stud. He was a stud last week before having 2 pretty bad weeks, but he'll be great this week against Dallas. He should be fine. Sneaky good defense for the Vegas Raiders there, but I understand the play here is that there's no fucking way Pat Mahomes is going to lose to a division rival 2 times in a year. Vegas got him last time, and you also got Lev Bell, so there's some possibility of getting some double points. Will Lutz will have a great game against the Falcons. I expect a high scoring game. Some new acquisitions for this team, as obviously there's some new acquisitions for every team, but Juju's there as well. Mace, let's take a look here. You want to call your boy Lamar? You want to tell him to potentially do better than what he's done? I mean, he's been fine. 14 passing touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Has a tough time playing from behind, and I have a feeling the Titans are going to use a lot of Derrick Henry to potentially not give Lamar the ball a lot. Still expect him to be fine. Probably about 16 points is what I expect. Currently projected at about 19.5. Cam Akers, still there for you, huh? Still there. Still on the squad. I understand. Well, I mean, Zach Moss is on bye, but let's be real. Gesicki at tight end. Expect a better game than I want to admit from Gesicki, only because of the fact that he's mainly been blocking for Tua. And I think that as Tua gets a little bit more comfortable, he should be able to get the ball to Gesicki. Especially they play the Broncos, and we'll obviously get to Tua in the last matchup here for Justin's team. But that Atlanta Saints game should be a shootout. But I'm not thrilled by the other receivers you're putting out for Fulgham there for Philly, as well as Marquise Brown, who hasn't had a good game since Week 5 against Cincinnati. As you can tell by the inflection in my voice, I'm not thrilled by your squad here, and that's why I said, Tom, look. We can be haters one week. We can also love your team, the potential next week. Giving you a lot of love on this pod. I'm going to give you the win here too. So welcome to 8-3. Mason, putting you at 5-6, but you still got a shot. Don't give it up. Next matchup brings us the other Horn brother, Big Waller Brand, which again, thank fucking God that the Knicks did not get LaMelo Ball. Oh my God. I'm so out on him. And maybe some Gordon Hayward. I don't know. We'll see. I think he's better with the mustache than without it. But this is a football podcast. Big Waller Brand, Marvin at 5-5, taking on, again, the team that has the best name in the league, the Danny K Dream Team. Although you changed your team name, and then I didn't get any kind of trade proposals. Tried a little bit with your team, but there was not much there to be had. Marvin, Aaron Rodgers, excuse me, not Aaron Jones. We'll get to him in a moment. Been great. Not much to say. He's fine. Good job. Playing Indy, though, which is why I worry about you a little bit this week. Not a ton, but a little bit. Indy's got a good defense. Aaron Jones would be great. DeAndre Swift, how about him last week, huh? Wow. I bet you're thrilled. Shit, 16 carries, 81 yards. But really, the boy finally learned how to fucking catch the ball after losing me and LJ a bunch of fucking money earlier on in the year. Darren Waller is a guy I tried to pry away from you, but you were smart enough to tell me to get lost and go pound salt. Better than his 3.3 points last week. I expect a big game from him. A lot of points Sunday night there. And welcome back, Mr. Joe Mixon. How are you, son? Haven't seen you since October 18th against Indy, Week 6. Big for you to be able to survive this long without your first-round pick. So kind of props to you for that. So I'm proud of you. Put together a pretty good squad, and I do like it. Joe Mixon in your flex is something special. Bullshit that DeAndre Swift is only projected at 3.9 points. I know, but still, he's going to be fine. He's going to be great. Drew, like the possibility of you stealing some points with Valdez-Scantling taking from Aaron Rodgers. Julio Jones and Matt Ryan, let's just put it right there. If you don't score a shitload of points with those two, as well as Todd Gurley, you're probably done. And oh my God, am I looking at this correctly? You have so there are two games that matter to you: Kansas City and Vegas, as well as Atlanta and New Orleans. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of your 11 players playing 2 games. So you better hope there's a lot of points there. Wow, I didn't even realize that when I looked at it earlier. Marvin, you're going to take this one and move to 6-5 with a big matchup with Jed next week. Damn. Okay. Interesting to see that from the Danny K Dream Team. In my heart, I hope you do well, Drew, but man, those games go sour. You are out. Next matchup, last matchup. Vaccinated from losing, my team, against Justin's Assemble. First place, 8-2. And I guess it's a good time to bring up the fact that Marvin, and someone should text him about it because who knows who's actually listening this far into the podcast. But throw out what the actual payouts are again. I think that would be kind of cool for us to see again. I tried to check it on the message board. It was a little unclear, but from what I saw, getting first is a big difference regular season than getting second. So every game here also means a lot to Justin. Not as much to the rest of us, but a lot. Currently less than a 1 point spread here. And I'll start with my team, loving the fact of Herbert against the Jets. This could be a fucking massacre. And I think the 20 points he's slated for is a little low. I'll just kind of put that out there. But what I'm concerned about, and I'll get to it a little bit more, is that on the other side is Keenan Allen. So that may hurt me. So that 20 points is probably a regression to the mean. Calvin Ridley's been questionable, and I know Chris Carson is out. Dealing with a couple of injuries here. Carlos Hyde will be able to do it for me tonight, but Sunday night is hopefully Mr. Boss Jacobs can take over. But I will certainly be down going into the night games. I have Boss Jacobs Sunday night at 8:20 against KC, and Robert Woods in that Tampa Bay Rams game at 8:15. And I know Chris Godwin is in that game too for Justin, so that could be something to potentially look at. That'd be fun to be tied and going into that matchup, especially with how much it means. My dark horse, my guy from Miami. I've really not even really learned how to say his name. I think it's Salvon Ahmed, but I'm not really sure. What I do know is Myles Gaskin and Matt Breida are out this week, so he's the number one running back, which he's my guy. He's my guy this week. And hoping whatever piece of shit the Cowboys put under center is probably going to throw at least 2 picks. So I'm also liking my Minnesota defense as well. Tua, though, on the other side for Justin's team. Yeah, I drafted him. Had to drop him. Herbert was too good. I needed a roster spot. So the ghost of Christmas past comes to haunt me, especially against Denver, and it scares the shit out of me. So I'm going to clap it up for you. Just won't do it for you now while you listen, but good job. Like I said, Keenan Allen scares me too, considering who I have for Herbert and how much he means to my team regarding points. I swear to God, this is the team that literally I've talked shit about in terms of the considerable players that keep coming back to haunt me, because this is the Derrick Henry week. And we all know last season how much shit I put on Derrick Henry and how he has fucked me ever since I did that. So honestly, I feel like I should be his agent. Like I could get a 0.5 percentage of his contract, but I expect Derrick Henry to have a revenge game against the Danny K. But my concern also too for my squad is you know Harris from New England's been great. They run the ball so much. Godwin should be great. This should be again a high scoring game. I've yet to talk about DK Metcalf, and I've struggled to find a superhero nickname for DK Metcalf, and that's just because Stanley hasn't written about him yet. Probably because he's dead, but just because of the fact of the things that he does. They're just unbelievable. He's incredible. He's obviously the best receiver in the league. And so that's why I struggle with the next words that I'll say. I'm confident that my team will win. I am confident. I am. But I'm not excited about it. And if I were a betting man, I would give this to Justin. So that will wrap it up for week 11. Week 12, Thanksgiving week approaches, guys. I'm sure we'll be texting and giving shit to each other over the weekend. But if I don't speak to the individuals of you guys, have a good Thanksgiving. I doubt there will be a pod next week. I may try to fit it in Tuesday night, but it may be tough. Hit me up if you've listened this long to maybe see if you guys may be a little bit more free. But until then, enjoy yourselves, guys, and good luck to everybody but Justin.